from Texas, Dr. Burgess, pending which I yield myself such time as I may consume. During consideration of this resolution, all time yielded is for the purposes of debate only. I ask unanimous consent that all members be given 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks.
Without objection.
Madam Speaker, yesterday the Rules Committee met and reported a rule, House Resolution 774. The rule provides for the consideration of H.R. 5376, the Build Back Better Act, under a closed rule. The rule provides 2 hours of debate equally divided among and controlled by the chair and ranking minority member of the Committee on the Budget and the chair and ranking minority member of the Committee on Ways and Means. The rule self-executes a manager's amendment from Chairman Yarmouth and provides 1 motion to recommit. Finally, the rule extends recess instructions, suspension authority, and same-day authority through December 3rd. Madam Speaker, when Franklin Roosevelt stood before the American people in Chicago, Illinois, and accepted the Democratic nomination for president nearly 90 years ago, he promised them a New Deal, one built on equality and fairness. That work is bigger than a single president or a single era, and it continues to this day. All these years later, this Congress is working to fulfill that promise. We will be considering a bill that will transform the lives of most people in this country for the better. The Build Back Better Act will help Americans access stronger and more affordable health care, better family care, and will set up a stronger response to the climate crisis. It will lower prescription drug costs, capping the cost of insulin at $35. It will establish paid family and medical leave and provide universal and free pre-K. Madam Speaker, I have talked to so many of my constituents who are sick and tired of working hard but falling behind. All they want is a country and a Congress that looks out for their interests and puts their needs first. That is what the policies contained in this bill will do. These are the kind of priorities that make me proud to be a Democrat. They are the kind of advancements that the American people have been demanding for decades. The Build Back Better Act finally turns the page on 4 decades of failed trickle-down economics, and it invests in the people who built this country, in our workers, the middle class, and everyone fighting hard to get there. And at a time when the wealth gap between the richest and the poorest families in this country has more than doubled, this bill will stem the rising tide of income inequality by asking those at the very top to pay what they owe, to pay their fair share. It's bold, it's consequential, and it will transform the lives of so many Americans. By expanding the child tax credit, more than 35 million families with children will see their taxes go down. Older Americans and those with disabilities will also see expanded access to home care as part of this bill. People working 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet, 17 million of them, will have hope for a better future with access to an education that extends beyond high school. Parents of 3- and 4-year-old kids can breathe a sigh of relief as they gain access to universal pre-K, meaning that they can go to work safe in the knowledge that their kids are learning while they are earning. 9 million Americans will save money on their premiums through changes to the Affordable Care Act. And folks in states that have been cut out of health care, 4 million of them, will finally get health care because this bill closes the Medicaid coverage gap. By making the biggest investments ever to combat climate change, the Build Back Better Act will advance environmental justice and give more communities a fighting chance to respond to this crisis. There are resources here to cut pollution, grow small businesses, improve care for our veterans. This bill accomplishes all of this while being fully paid for. It finally demands that the largest corporations and the wealthy Americans pay their fair share. And importantly, it keeps the President's promise not to raise taxes on those making under $400,000, not even 1 single penny. This is a seismic shift after my colleagues on the other side of the aisle exploded the deficit to give tax cuts to the rich and the well-off. And let me just say this to all those Republicans who have been urging action on the COVID-caused supply chain issues. You should join us and support this bill, because there are provisions here to bolster our supply chain and prepare for the next pandemic and future supply chain issues. Madam Speaker, I will put the values of contained in this bill against the priorities of my colleagues on the other side any day of the week. And it's about damn time that the wealthy were asked to pay their fair share. It's about damn time that workers and small businesses got a tax break. And it's about damn time that we focus on the middle class for a change. My Republican friends may stand here today and complain about the process, but the truth is 13 committees of jurisdiction have spent more than 165 hours marking up this legislation. They considered more than 850 amendments, and all that was before the Rules Committee did its work. Before the Rules Committee met, not once but twice, and talked about this bill even before it was final. The committees have done their work. Members in this Congress and in this House and all across the Capitol have debated this bill over and over and over again. The American people are demanding action. Now is the time. Time for us to make the real promises of the time for us to make real the promises of the New Deal. Time for us to put our government back on the side of working people in this country. And time for us to deliver the agenda that the American people voted for last November. I want to thank, Madam Speaker, members of both sides of the aisle and especially staff. I know that this has been a long day and a long week. We have our differences, but I want to thank all of my colleagues for their patience. And with that, I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Texas.